video clip I want to show you. What?
This is so much fun.
There's so many good ones.
I have a question.
Yeah.
For this class, are we ever going to be writing essays?
Oh,
and
yes.
things like that? Yeah, we will.
Kind of like last year where we read a
she'll
book
forget.
and write essays. No, I won't.
She said that. I mean, I need practice for the SAT, so I was just
Right,
thinking about it.
right. And I actually have some actual practice SAT ones, if you ever wanted to take those home and do those.
The SAT essays
They're
aren't
not
as-
hard.
No.
No.
They're not?
No.
The prompt
Because
is really
The
open.
hardest part's gonna be,
But
To
how
me,
do
your
you
math.
write it like?
Yeah, math. I struggled with the reading comprehension.
But how?
What
how
about
do
the
you-
language?
Like,
the
how do you
words
write
and
it so
stuff?
quickly?
Like the vocabulary?
30 minutes?
They only
That's
put
not
like
a lot, is it?
4 or 5. Like there's not a bunch of them.
oh,
So even if you
Were they,
skip
like,
them,
Doesn't it have to be?
there were some of them that I
one
knew,
paragraph
some of them I had to
or
guess, and a few that I just skipped.
I mean,
because I
5
didn't know.
sentences for every paragraph.
it really, it's not,
You can't really study much for it.
it's not as hard as,
If you practice it,
I think anyone in a school like this is gonna be fine.
'cause my sister got like an 11, but I
Out of,
12.
to me, the hardest part's gonna be the vocab and the geometry.
Okay. Because I'm taking it further math, like,
Mhm.
so hopefully.
And the reading comprehension, depending on what you're reading, like, it could be extremely boring,
I
the
did.
topic.
I hated that.
Well,
That was
I
my
hated the whole
lowest.
thing.
Are you not allowed to talk about it, or?
You can't like say like exactly what's on it, but
Oh.
Forbidden.
Pretty much.
Everything just was not.
What if you do say something, are they gonna find out?
You did.
you have to like sign a contract saying you're not gonna say
It's
what
like
it's.
an honor code.
I hate when they say the hardest part of this test is writing like the cursive, and I was
Yeah.
like, this is like the easiest part for me. Everyone's like, how
Writing
do you
in
draw a G again? And I'm
Oh
like,
my
But you
god.
know,
what the
for
heck?
future generations, that's gonna be hard.
Yeah,
because
it's
true.
They don't
Cursive
write.
is
You have to
so
say, like,
pretty.
I don't know
I,
why
Lauren
they
D.
say that.
promised to
Going to
like.
iPads, so they don't write at all, they just swipe and click and drag. There's not gonna be any,
I mean,
That
I
is
think
so
I'm
That's so
sad.
cool in
It's
the
like-
future.
Like, don't you
Yeah.
have to learn how to
I like
sign
that
your
show.
name in cursive at least? Because everything you, like, when you sign papers, you have to sign it in cursive, so everyone's gonna have to know how to sign their name.
Yeah.
you
Cursive.
would think.
I don't understand.
But your whole
I
name
think
doesn't
it's such
consist
a
of the
bad
whole
idea
alphabet.
because cursive is
Well,
such a
no.
beautiful.
I'm gonna
like-
make my kids
It is.
stay old fashioned. They're watching
Oh.
VHSs and
That's the dumbest thing.
Aww, I still watch
I do
VHS.
too.
Getting rid of cursive.
Like that's so
I,
stupid.
Like
we
my
have
grandma
so
has
many
a record
VHSs,
player
but we
and
only
just play it.
like have one VHS in the whole house, and it's in the basement. And I don't like being in the basement by myself because it's creepy. 'Cause we
all
have
my
a lot
princess
of it.
movies are on VHS.
Oh, it's
Okay,
alright.
Rapunzel, like the
what chapter are we on?
the Barbie Rapunzel.
We just read 5.
Okay, then here we go. I want you to see the,
Oh no! Well, there's an animated version.
Weird.
That's so weird.
I still haven't found the
This is
definition.
Oh, that's for the cipher now.
Oh, there we go.
yeah, that was interesting.
Was this an 80s movie? Or when was this made?
The liar? Is that a survivor?
We ought to die before we let the fire out.
Oh, the fire.
Oh, it's like a massive fire.
Can we stop calling this assembly is? Too many people are screwing around when they should be working. And there's a bunch of things. Some kids don't even know when to use the bathroom. Yeah, there was this one kid the other day who took a shit in his pants and then sat in it. I'm not naming names because it's possible Mikey couldn't help it. All I mean is we have to have a little more discipline and more spear fishing. We've got to have real food. We should be hunting pigs. That's all I gotta say. Anyone else want the conch? Some jerk off stole my pocket knife. Yeah, things are disappearing all over. What are we gonna do with these when we catch you? just running wild. We're gonna have to have stricter rules. You hand out demerits, I guess. Demerits? Demerits for grand larceny? Eat shit and die.
Nice.
Sarah? Are we ever going home? Of course we are. As soon as this here signal. Jack says that we're never going to be rescued. No, you misunderstood. That's not what he meant. That's exactly what I meant. There's 8 million islands out here. Why should they find this one? Don't listen to him. We will be rescued, Peter. Honest. What's this dumb shit I hear about a monster? I'm gonna have to send you back to kindergarten. I'm serious. Okay, what kind of monster? Did it have fur and poison fangs? Or long, slimy tentacles? It crawled, and it came out at me. In his mouth. It was wet. Maybe it was a bear. Sounds more like a reptile. Sounds more like bullshit.
Looks like a poor puppy.
Oh. Sorry, Lauren.
Because of the monster. I told you there's no monster. Tony knows there's no monster. Tony just wants to be under his own. He's too chicken shit to come down and get his stuff himself. What if there is some kind of big animal? Yeah.
Violence.
Come on, what do you say? I say fuck you. And that goes for you too, Miss Piggy. Come on, let's get out of this kid's car.
My goodness.
Why do you think they're using such language?
They're not allowed to
They
at
don't
all.
have
their sick parents
They don't have any, they have no supervision and they're,
Chapter 5.
Well, they probably
Chapter
think that
five.
since they're trying to take care of themselves, they're more adult.
Yeah,
They
plus
do
they're
their
like
thing.
scared and maybe like seeming, like if they maybe say a curse word or two, they'll feel like they have more control of the situation.
okay, okay. Because they probably didn't hear that at their private school from the adults, right? So they are experiencing freedom and they're gonna do what they want, no matter what, right? And that means cussing and violence and everything that little boys think's fun. And those are the things that apparently they think are fun. What did you, does that go along with what you read in chapter 5, what you just saw, kind of?
I think it's interesting to see like Ralph be a little sensitive with the younger kids and like it kind of makes you feel a little bit better about the situation because you know that they're not just ignoring the little kids and thinking they're being stupid and you know they're
Well,
paying attention.
I wanted to show that clip because it shows leadership from one of the older kids. Olivia.
It seems like Ralph is kind of changing to become like the parent, and he's kind of, he got like his like tyrannical like out of his system, and now he's realizing he needs to like step up and be mature.
Right. He's seeing that they need to take care of the necessities. Like he said, we need some kind of rules on the island because everyone's going wild and they're stealing things, and we also need more food, right? And Jack is just still running around with his spear, killing things and cussing at things and thinking that that's how a leader should be. So you have two different examples of how leadership has been interpreted by these young boys. I also think, I wonder if Ralph had younger siblings, because sometimes when you have younger siblings, you're used to being around little kids, and Ralph seems like, or if you've been exposed to little kids in any way, you know, he seems like he's, like Holly said, a little more sensitive to the younger kids than Jack is. But at the same time, they've all been around younger kids because they've all been at this all-boys school. So maybe, why do you think Jack is the way he is? And this is the psychology of it all. What makes Jack the way he is and Ralph the way he is? You know, it's very interesting to me, because one boy is clearly more compassionate than the other and nicer than the other. And why is that? I don't know that you can say parenting, because they're not with their parents, they're at a boarding school, right? So it's the old nature versus nurture philosophy, right? And that means, is it just innate in a person, or has it been nurtured? So that's something to think about as you're reading about these characters. And these younger boys, the little boys, who still get scared, the only people they have to look up to are Ralph and Jack now, because there are no adults anymore. So they're just used to seeking out the oldest people and thinking that they know what's going on, right? Anything else in chapter 5?
I think it was really like a step up for Ralph, admitting to himself that Piggy was smart. And he was kind of thinking about it, and he's like, even though he's fat, he's got brains.
Mm-hmm.
So I think he's like stepping up now and kind of getting more mature, like as things go on.
That's a good point you bring up, because we are such a judgmental species, right? Humans are. We just are, we judge people by the physical first, right? So when they would just look at Piggy, they just see this chubby little kid with glasses, right? They don't look on the inside. He has a good heart, he has a brain. They just see what's on the outside. So, and they also go by popularity, even little kids, right? Who's the most popular? Who's the best looking? I'm gonna do what he or she does. And it carries through into adulthood if you don't do something about it or break that cycle. So Ralph, seeing that Piggy does have some good ideas, maybe taking another look at Piggy, right? Like, oh, there's more to him than his chubbiness, right? Than his weight. Okay, what else in chapter 5? Olivia?
I think it's interesting, like the difference between like being a follower, like in a bad way, like just following, like, oh, I want Jack to like me because he's cool, like I'll just do whatever he does, or like the follower kind of like Piggy, how he'll do anything for him, but he doesn't do anything like that goes against his like morals or something. Yeah. So I think
Okay.
Piggy kind of represents like how following the rules is a good thing, but then some of the other boys like take it too far and just
Yeah.
aren't following.
I think Piggy is a leader in his own way as well. Like, he could have a third group. Do you think it's smart for them to divide up into these groups?
I don't really think so, because then that's gonna be your rivalry, and you're gonna attack each other, which then, like, it's kind of like what I think, like, with, kind of like what we're learning in history, but like Native Americans, they like divided instead of like trying to join up with each other to like get the English out of the country.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like that. So instead of like, they should be working together to defeat this island and
Mhm.
the stuff that's in the forest.
Right. I mean, there's limited
Dividing.
supplies anyway,
Yeah.
right? Limited food, limited shelter, everything. Wouldn't it be better if they worked as a team? Now they're dividing up and competing for these things. So that's definitely gonna hurt hurt the end result as well. How does this compare, go ahead.
Okay, like, it was like in it was talking about how Ralph almost like stepped down though as chief to let Jack just take over. But then Piggy was like, no, don't do that, because he's like, then I'm gonna die because he doesn't like me. And he's like, you'll be fine, but I'm the one that'll go first, like saying like that. So even though they do have, I can't say, think of the word I'm wanting to say, even though they split into different groups, at least they have one that they fit into.
Right, and it's almost as if Ralph and Piggy need each other. And, yeah, that's a very good point, very good point. Compare, those of you who've read Animal Farm, compare what's happening here to what happened in Animal Farm.
It's like once the leadership and like the rules are gone, everyone takes advantage of it, and then they create the problem all over again and realize that they should have just followed like rules and things.
Well, it's a hard lesson to learn. And, lives are lost in both novels because of learning this lesson. And I've compared this book to other situations before, like when your parents leave you alone and leave you in charge of the little kids, or if the teachers were gone. What if all the teachers were gone one day? What if all of us were ill for some reason? And you guys, we wouldn't have school probably, but let's say that we did. And you guys went through your regular schedule. Do you think anything would get done?
No. I do.
Well,
Things would get done.
not with the younger kids though, in my opinion.
I think they might want something to get done, but they wouldn't know how to go about it.
Yeah.
They would still need.
I feel like there would be
older
some.
kids.
I feel like there would be some in their class that would be like, guys, we need to do
Yeah.
this, but then
Yeah.
others would be like, I'm gonna draw instead.
I
Or
think
like,
that
"Let's
they know
draw
what's
on chalkboard."
expected of them
Yeah.
enough to be able to get things done. I mean, like, the ones that have at least been here for a couple of years,
Yeah.
they know.
Let's say Robin were still here and she wrote all our lesson plans on the board for all of us. She'd be very busy. But, like if I said, read chapter 6, you guys would read it, I'm sure. But in some of your bigger classes.
This is my biggest class.
Is it really?
Well, there's the same in this class and in physics.
Okay.
This is the biggest class.
Well, the biggest class that I have would be history,
Yeah.
but that's all most of the other kids do anyway.
U.S. history, yeah.
Yeah.
Olivia.
I think like we'd follow all the rules and do what we had to do, but I don't know, maybe like the noise level would go up, or like we wouldn't have to like, if we have to like do an assignment, we could like talk back and forth while we do, like, I don't know, some things would change even if they aren't like bad things,
True.
but
And the thing about the people on breaks, that might get a little out of
But then again,
hand.
if Robin is still here, then
True.
they would be controlled.
Yeah.
It would be an interesting study, because this is the only school that I think that students would get something done if the teachers were gone. Even at a private school here in town, like, I don't know, Dwenger or Lures, I still think,
Plus, there's still like at least 3 times as many people in there.
Yeah.
Exactly.
that too, yeah.
exactly. And when you get a lot of people together, there's a chance of groups forming, and just like on the island, right? Lauren?
Well, I think everyone would do what they were supposed to eventually, because like, the teachers came back the next day, oh, like, can I see your assignment? Who's gonna say, oh, no, we didn't do it? Like,
Right.
no one would ever dare
No
say
one would
that.
ever dare do that
Like-
here, but, in a regular public school, I wouldn't even walk down the hall to go to the bathroom or get a drink, because they wouldn't stay on task, At Kikianga, where my husband teaches, he teaches 8th grade, all day, 8th grade U.S. history. He has to walk them to lunch and go pick them up and take them back.
I always hated that. Like,
Yeah.
I remember when I had gone to Lane for like the first semester, there was this one thing that happened, like our teacher was walking us to our room, and we're like, straight file line, shh, no talking, like, he's like, you guys need to like put your finger up to your mouth so you know that you're not talking, I'm like, we're like in kindergarten again, and it just,
Mhm.
I don't know, like, cause I was never really the one talking, I was like, okay, let's follow rules here. But like, because somebody else did something, everyone else was punished.
Mhm.
And
I hate that rule. I hate
Yeah,
it too.
that rule is so stupid.
But like, and then he was like, he like made us like stand outside of the room so everyone was quiet, and I was just like, geez, like I just want to learn.
Mhm.
Like the first day I was there, I was like, are we gonna get anything done in this classroom? Because I'm like, I'm wasting my time
Yeah.
here.
Yep.
And he's like, well, why don't you tell that to the class? I'm like, they don't listen.
Yeah. Well, and, you know, I taught freshmen for 15 years, and I used to wonder why they acted that way. Why are freshmen acting so wild? And now I know. Because they have lived such a structured environment in middle school that when they get to us at the high school level, they're like, what? Yeah, no one's walking me to lunch, no, I'm on my own. Yeah, you're a big boy now, a big girl now, you're 15. I think you can walk down the cafeteria. But they haven't been given any freedom. But at the same time, half of them didn't deserve any freedom, right? It's like when he said about demerits and discipline. We're gonna have to do something for the people who misbehave. Well, I remember when my oldest daughter went to Weiser Park, and her class would always, not always, but at least once a week get in trouble out at recess, and they'd have to stand on the wall. There was a wall out at recess, and the whole class had to stand on it. And the first time, she's super sensitive. The first time she did that, she was in tears when I picked her up, or when she got home. And she would tell me, my whole class had to stand on the wall, you know, and I'm like, I'm sorry, it's that whole rule, everyone's punished. Or I'm not letting anyone go until someone confesses that they did that. Yeah, okay, well. And so she was always, you know, with that group, and her whole educational life, her grade has had a reputation. I mean, a lot of them are seniors at Southside now, and I know there are teachers there who can't wait for them to get out because they've always had that reputation of being a difficult group. And she's always hated to have been grouped in with people like that. But, you know, you'll hear stories like, oh, this next group coming up is wonderful. Oh, this next group is, be careful, right? They were one of the be careful groups. Holly?
I think that there needs to be balance in discipline and in like freedom. So like, I don't necessarily agree with walking down the hall with middle schoolers. Like, honestly, there should be enough discipline so that they can do it themselves.
Should
Because-
be, yeah.
Because, like, look at when you get to high school, everyone's like, oh, freedom, and they go crazy, and that's like the same with like drinking, like people are like, no, don't do that, and then you get to college and they, you know, waste a half a semester, you know, doing something that they shouldn't have done.
Yeah,
But because people forbid it, so it makes people want it even more.
you're right.
And that's why there are so many, you know, teenagers in college that drink and like, cause they don't know what it is and they're not exposed to it, so they, you know, their parents are like, no, you can't do that, and they're like, oh, no one's around, I can do it,
Right.
like, you know, and so, I don't know, I just don't agree necessarily with like walking down the hallway. I think that when you're in middle school, you should be able to do that yourself, you know, like.
And for the kids who aren't, there should be a punishment for just those kids. They even have built-in locker stops. Like they go to periods 1, they have a locker stop before school, then they go to periods 1 and 2, then they have a locker stop. Then they go to periods 3 and 4, and they have a locker stop. You can't go to your lockers at any other times, that's it. And I understand the thought behind that, trying to teach them to plan ahead, to be organized. But at the same time, if you're always telling them when to do stuff, when are they gonna learn to actually do it on their own, Lauren?
I don't know, I think it has a lot to do with your upbringing though too.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah, that's
kids
true.
break the rules anyways. You know how many kids drink in high school? I mean, it's not like they get to college and then it's like, well, let's start drinking. Like, kids have been doing it since they were like 16, since like a freshman in high school. I don't even know how much younger, but I know kids that do it that are that age, and so it'd be like the same thing with even in school, like kids
Yeah.
are still gonna break the rules, but it's just if you have, like, if your conscience is strong enough to like tell you not to
That's the key.
do it.
How do you teach someone to have a conscience? Character is what happens when no one's looking. I see that poster sometimes, and it's so true. I mean, you have to live with yourself, right? And at the end of the day, if you can look in the mirror and feel good about your day and about the life you've led that day, then you can sleep at night. But there are lots of people who have no problem with doing what they've done, and it hasn't been good, right, Olivia?
I guess for me, like, since I've been, like, raised by my parents, like, we go to church every weekend, like, with my faith, like, that's developed my conscience. And even, like, if no one's with me, I know, like, God's watching. And so, like, what I do, it's not just like, oh, it doesn't matter, I can do whatever I want.
Right.
Where people, maybe if they don't, then they don't have that way to develop their conscience.
You're right.
So, I don't know.
That's a good point. A lot of people do have their faith and they know that God's watching, Jesus is watching. But if you weren't raised in that environment, and I think we have reached a time in society when, I think we reached it a few years ago, when you have to question if people do have a conscience. You know, it's like, do you not care what you've done? What doesn't it bother you? Do you have any fear of bad karma? Do you know, what happened to the golden rule?
Yeah.
Lauren?
I feel like some high school students too, it's just like everyone is acting out. So it's like, oh, well, like there's too many kids acting out for them to even punish us all. Like, I feel like that's where it's headed. It's just then everyone's just gonna be so out of control, there's
Anarchy.
no way to like even contain it or
Yeah.
control it.
Zoe was telling me that at the beginning of the year, the first week of school, Southside's principal, I think all the schools do this, they have class meetings with each grade level. And at the senior class meeting, her class got yelled at because some of them misbehaved while the principal was trying to talk to the whole senior class, and he ended up kicking some kids out of the meeting. And they ended up talking to them later. I mean, one of them was like a star football player going to college to play football, and just, you know, acting a fool during the class meeting, and he got on them about that. You know, you're seniors, you're representing the school, and you're acting stupid when I'm trying to talk to you. It's disrespectful. And I think, though, that he got a little glimpse, and I'm sure he knew this, but he got a little glimpse of what it must be like to be a teacher